Hello and welcome back to the Movie Bar Podcast. The bar is now open. See, I'm changing things up. Welcome to episode 78. This week we are taking a trip to Derry, New Hampshire in search of a dancing clown. I am your host, John, here with my lovely co-host.
Kyle's not here, and I'm Justin.
How you doing this week, Justin?
Call me lovely.
Well, you're a sight for sore eyes. Yeah, that was a good one. How you doing this week?
Meh, I'm still here.
Yeah. You ready to go to Derry? Find the SS Georgie.
I've already been there today.
Oh. All right. A little bit of housekeeping. Why don't you kick us off?
Yes. Suzanne Summers, best known for starring on the TV sitcom Three's Company and Step by Step, has passed away at the age of 76. She did make a little appearance in Stay Tuned with John Ritter.
Yes, she did. Yeah, I can't think of too many movies that she had been in.
Nope. Just that and The Thigh Master.
Thigh Master. And other news, Oscar-nominated Carrie actress Piper Laurie has passed away. The actress was 91 years old. I'm telling you, two people not on our Deadpool list at work. We're starting to call it the Keep Alive list.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was 91, so...
Yeah, that's expected, but... Yeah, our condolences to both of their friends and family and fans.
Yes.
Yeah, that sucks. In other bad news, so Best Buy has announced that in 2024 they're going to stop selling physical media. I accidentally put digital media, but physical media. No more Blu-rays, no more DVDs.
Sad John noises.
So I went to the Best Buy in Dedham a couple weeks ago, and I walked it first normally there's those two sets of doors you walk in, one in, one out. Mm-hmm. Now it's only one. The other one's a set of lockers.
Well, yeah, they want to make sure that they were cutting down on theft there.
Yeah, but lockers
Amazon lockers and all that.
Yeah,
stuff,
I know. We have some
orders.
at work. We have stuff at work. We have Amazon lockers at work. And so I walked in, I kind of strolled through the store, and I was like, something's missing. There's video games, there's refrigerators, washing machines. So I asked an employee, I said, hey, where are the movies? He goes, oh, man, we don't sell those anymore. And that's when it hit me. It's is this the end, the beginning of the end? I said, are you guys just not selling them here? Is this going to be a store? He goes, I have no idea, man. But then I go to the one in Mansfield, and that's actually 2 rows of movies. But I guess next year it'll be none.
Yep.
And Target is completely, there's an end cap.
Yeah. Well, Target is also putting just about everything behind glass in areas to prevent theft. So it's getting fun. It's getting fun.
But there's just an end cap of movies. There used to be 2 sections.
Because they're easy to steal.
Okay, well, put them in fucking glass then. Keep selling them. At least Walmart still sells them.
For now.
But, yeah, for now. But I think Walmart does good. They actually have a nice little movie section.
For now.
But what do you got there for movie news?
But on the flip side of that, Netflix is going to open some form of brick and mortar entertainment venues coming in 2025, it looks like. I would guess my feelings, and we discussed this earlier, I would feel like it's probably just like a theater showing their movies or their shows, probably, food and drink and store or something like that. But
kind of like an
We'll
upgraded
see.
Showcase or
Yeah.
Alamo.
Showcase Lux.
Yes, Lux. But yeah, I mean, hey, if it works, great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now you don't have to go to Target to buy that Stranger Things shirt. You can just go to the Netflix store. I'm telling you, if they don't capitalize on the Netflix and chill, maybe put a couple, maybe some like a row of beds instead of fucking seats. You know,
Still illegal to do that kind of thing in public.
depends on what theater you're going. But
Just ask Paul Rubens. Rest in peace.
yeah, so all right, my freckled friend, what you watch this week?
Let's see. So I did watch the It from 1990. I watched the miniseries, watch all of it in one go through. I watched Strays
Ah, yes,
on Peacock. That was funny. It was funnier than I was expecting. But you know, it's okay.
yeah. I was just, I watched it too. I was expecting it to be a little better.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it was just a little. I expected the the sophomoric humor, if you will.
Yeah,
I think it was a little bit more over than I was expecting. So
yeah, yeah. That's one of those movies where the trailer played the best parts.
yeah, pretty much.
So,
Yeah, and then I watched some Battle Bots. That's not a movie, so
oh, BattleBots. Hunter was into that for a couple days.
it's on Max.
Well, I'll have to tell him. He'll be excited. So let's see. So I had some time on my hands last week. I watched Totally Killer on Amazon Prime. Have you watched that? You didn't watch that yet? You need to watch that. It's
I
Back
don't
to
know
the
anything
Future
about it.
meets. It's like Back to the Future meets Scream, in a sense. A girl goes back in time to save her town from a killer. Kind of like
Oh,
that Once Upon It's a Wonderful Knife movie. Kind of like
yeah, I gotcha.
um
Happy Death Day.
yeah, okay, yeah. A little more like that, but a lot of Back to the Future vibes to it, but it was really good. Um I watched Toy Story 4 again, just for shits and giggles. And then I watched a movie I'd never seen before, The Odd Couple. I've never seen the original Odd Couple
Hmm.
with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. So then, of course, I watched that, Odd Couple 2, Out to Sea, and ended my Walter Matthau fix with The Bad News Bears, which brought back a lot of childhood memories.
Mhm.
Yeah, not good ones. And then I watched The Six Wives of Henry LaFleur with Tim Allen and Alicia Cuthbert. You haven't seen that one before, have you? Where he's been married like 6 times and they think he's dead, and one wants to burn him, one wants to bury him, one wants to keep, yeah. Pretty good. Then I watched Bad Teacher, Sex Tape, Spider-Man No Way Home, and of course, It. So, yeah. Well, shall we head to dairy now?
I
Go
would
meet up with our
suppose
friend
so.
Go meet up with our friend Stephen King in his little crazy ass mind. Well, in 1960, 7 preteen outcasts fight an evil demon that poses as a child-killing clown. 30 years later, they reunite to stop the demon once and for all when it returns to their hometown. Was originally released on November 18th for Part 1 and November 20th for Part 2, 1990. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. Didn't he direct Halloween too?
Mm.
Like we just didn't watch it last week. But story is by Stephen King, adapted from the book It. Had a budget of $12 million. Music was composed by Richard Bellis. has a runtime of 3 hours and 12 minutes. Not rated and is not currently streaming anywhere.
Oh, really? Because I watched it on Hulu.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, when I looked it up, it said it wasn't streaming anywhere. So I guess
Oh,
it's
no,
on Hulu
it's
if you
streaming
have.
on Hulu. You gotta check the
Okay.
date of that post that said it wasn't streaming anywhere. Because that could have been from like 2021.
No, it's just an app you type in the movie and it tells you
No,
where it's streaming.
it's not a very good app.
I guess not, but it's worked for everything else. So
Our cast of characters. We have Harry Anderson as Richie Tozier, Dennis Christopher as Eddie Casback, Richard Masser as Stan Uris, Annette O'Toole as Beverly Marsh, Tim Reed as Mike Hanlon, John Ritter as Ben Hanscom, Richard Thomas as Bill Denborough, the adult versions.
yes.
We have Tim Curry as Pennywise. Then we have Jonathan Brandis as Bill Denborough, age 12. Brandon Crane as Ben Hanscom, age 12. Adam Farisel as Eddie Kasparak at age 12. Seth Green as Richie Tozier at age 12. Ben Heller as Stanley Uris at age 12. Emily Perkins as Beverly Marsh at age 12. Marlon Taylor as Mike Hanlon, age 12. Then we have Olivia Hussey as Audra Denborough. Sheila Moore as Mrs. Kasparak. Jared Blankard as Henry Bowers, age 14. Chris Eastman as Belch. Gabe Kuth as Patrick. Michael Ryan as Tom Rogan. Venus Terzo as Cindy. And Frank C. Turner as Al Marsh. I'm stopping there. There's a lot. I'm stopping there.
So we're going to try something a little different this week. We're not going to give a complete rundown as we normally have with movies, because obviously if you're listening to us, you've either watched it or might watch it, might spark an interest. I don't fucking know. But we're just going to have a discussion about it. Like, just two average movie fans that picked it to watch, which I was. So let's start off with the setting. Derry, New Hampshire. Have you been there?
Yes, and it looks nothing like that.
Yes, exactly. But a lot of Stephen King's books and stuff. You're a Stephen King expert,
Well, I wouldn't say expert, but yeah, I've read a lot of his stuff. Yeah, I mean everything of his, for the most part, is based in Maine or New Hampshire, mostly Maine. But I mean this gives you that small town feeling. You can get that in any state. Every state has it, but Maine and New Hampshire, it's kind of like you expect it to be quiet and country. So
Yeah. So, do you think this is a good setting for this type of movie?
well, yeah, it's a small town. It kind of that kind of thing becomes hush hush, like you see with Mike Hanlon at the beginning, walking around talking after the little girl gets taken outside her house. And the cops are kind of, well, there's something going on here, but we're not going to tell you about it.
And that's kind of like with Springwood last week with Freddy versus Jason. The local mass murdering phantom, whatever the hell it is. You're not gonna talk about it because then it brings him back.
Mm-hmm.
But so the concept of the movie, you have a killer entity that comes around every 30 years or so.
I mean, it's straight up Stephen King. I mean, you got it's it's based in reality. I mean, you got all the cicadas and all that stuff that are underground for however many years, and they come back. And then there's always all these old legends of stuff like that. So I mean, it's a quality idea of having something like that come back around, and then using past, I won't say victims, but
Yeah.
past participants have to come back and finish what was started. It's the David Goliath Cowboys versus aliens.
Yeah, so let's kind of talk about our Cowboys versus aliens here. So we have these 7 kids.
The Losers Club.
Yeah, that just happen to form friendships over a period of time due to a common enemy in this bully.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and each one served a purpose when it came to taking out Pennywise. Or so, what's your take on the whole, 7 misfits brought together?
I mean, it still follows, kind of a set, story arc. There's still, there's the love interest inside.
Yeah,
There's, the love interest that's ignored from within, and there's the inner friendships that some are older than others. There's those that join later, and they're all just consistently beat down until they rise up and
yeah,
overcome their obstacles and differences and strifes, and overcome the monster. But I mean, there's just the way that Pennywise goes about doing his thing is where the magic is.
yeah, and he's definitely good at that. Like, he knows each one's weakness and figures it out. Like, did you ever read the book It?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've never read the book.
It's been a long time though, so there's
So
differences, and there's
kind of like a reference in the book when they would say "beep beep Richie." That was basically in the book. It was used as a way to tell Richie to shut up.
yeah.
And I guess also in the book, the female character slept with all of them.
Sure.
But Tommy Lee Wallace felt that wasn't really necessary to the story to show that she was a whore.
Well,
But
I mean, that's kind of what that upbringing is,
yeah.
it tends to bring about.
So let's talk about some of the characters. Tim Curry as Pennywise. First thoughts.
This is tough because I want to acknowledge everything, but I don't because of next week.
Okay, well,
So I will say that I love Tim Curry as Pennywise.
yes.
He did a masterful job. Um, just even with the face paint, like, you could, he makes it his own. You can tell it's him back there, but he still slips in under the radar and just loses himself in the character there, and he just plays it so well.
Yeah, and actually, I was reading some like trivia about this movie. Everyone avoided him on set because of how well
Oh
how in
yeah,
depth he got with this character. And when you look at it, it's a clown.
yeah.
I don't find clowns scary. Neither do you.
Nope.
But he adds that little twist that goes from like an average clown to fucking
Yeah.
pointed teeth and fucking craziness. And everybody trusts a clown. Little kids are going to trust clowns.
No, not anymore. Nobody trusts clowns now.
Well, yeah, after the clown apocalypse and all that shit has happened. And so, our first characters we meet, you'll be better with the names than I am because you just read them. But little Georgie, sweet innocent little kid, chasing his little paper boat down the stream. I would have never thought of doing something like that. Just follow the stream.
Well, I mean, we grew up in the 80s and 90s, not the 60s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We had cooler
we
toys.
we weren't reliant on
Yeah.
making your own
And
toys
and his brother is kind of mean to him, like, oh, get away from me,
yeah, but
cooties.
he's sick in bed.
Yeah. But he still takes the time to make a boat for Georgie.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course your brother gets killed or goes missing, dies, whatever.
His arm
And
ripped off.
yeah. So um let's talk about the new kid in town.
Ben.
Ben, yes.
Father
Um
dies. Moves in with his aunt and cousin. And cousin's a dick.
aren't most?
Yeah, well, some can be.
Yeah, and being a pudgy kid, I'm sure, picked on a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but that one girl does take interest in him.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and then
Young
we
Ben.
had, yep. Then we have Beverly,
Janitor's daughter.
abusive janitor's daughter,
Well, yep.
and when he's spazzing out because Ben wrote a letter and she took it and he found it and what are you out there doing with them boys, fucking.
You're 12 and you're running around with the boys.
Yeah, so um who else we got? What are some other
Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Oh, the one African American gentleman in the town, apparently.
Yeah. Every town has one
Uh,
back in the days, but
so
the only
he's
one
gonna.
that couldn't leave Derry as an adult, never left Derry.
Yep. Well, he felt he needed to.
Yeah.
He had to stand watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, as the librarian, yeah, that's a pretty good spot to do it. Back then, nowadays, not so much, but
Yeah.
they are changing.
But, it's a nice little mix of kids.
Yeah. You got
And
Eddie with his
Eddie,
asthma
yep,
and
which
his
will play a role.
helicopter mom and young funny Richie.
Richie, yep. And I gotta say, like, I didn't look at the cast. I knew Tim Curry. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I didn't realize that was John Ritter.
Oh yeah, buddy.
It didn't dawn on me till I watched the second half, and I was like, "Oh shit, that is." And Harry Anderson.
How did you
I
not recognize John Ritter immediately?
I've been sick.
The second he stepped out of that limo, it's like, oh yeah, that's John.
And then Harry Anderson, best known from Night Court and Cheers, and Seth.
Cheers.
Yeah, he was a reoccurring guest star on Cheers. He was Harry the Magician.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He'd always come in and con his way
I
into a
remember.
beer.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
It's the facial hair that did it. They look different with facial hair. So Eddie, Ben, Beverly, Richie. I think we covered all the kids.
Well, there's Stu.
Stu, yeah.
He's just always nervous.
And Bill.
Well, yeah, and Bill, Georgie's brother.
Yeah. No. Bill wasn't George's brother. Did we watch this fucking...
Yeah, are you really seriously gonna sit there and say that right now? Bill Denborough wasn't Georgie Denborough's brother?
The guy that Jonathan Brandeis played was George's brother.
Uh-huh.
But he's in there as the adult because he has the stuttering problem and he's still alive.
Bill
Who's the
Denborough.
guy? Okay. Was there another Bill?
It was George's brother.
Okay. Then who was the guy that killed himself in the tub?
Stu.
Oh, I thought his name. It said
Nope, that
Bill.
was Stu.
Oh, okay, never mind. You're right. I'm
Or
sorry.
Stan. Sorry, Stan.
Stan. Yes.
Stan.
I wrote down notes and I misread them. I read too early. Fucking. I'm sorry. I apologize. I've been sick for the last week. So the sound and the music of the movie. What are you thinking? Going with the flow of it? Is it good?
I mean, I, to be honest, don't pay much attention to the music most of the time, the sounds, and I kind of got lost on it. I was paying too much attention to what was going on.
Yeah. Well, the cinematography, let's talk about the jumping back and forth as we meet each character. We kind of see their introduction into town, introduction into the group. Do you like that concept of like, okay, here's Stu and or Stan, and this is when Stan was a kid and he joins the ragtag group of misfits?
I mean, I did. They kind of the way they kind of they introduced, each one kind of like well, not each one as an adult first, but like they introduced Mike first as an adult
Yes.
and kind of went into like the beginning of the story, and he kind of introduced you to young Bill and Georgie, and um but from there you kind of got the one by one, and from there it was for the most part old to young.
Yeah.
And I think they did it well, because they didn't just kind of smash it all together and um hurry it up. They took their
Yeah.
time with it. They gave everybody, a decent explanation and backstory, and which is, always a big concern when you're taking, a book like this and turning it into a movie or a mini series. It's, what's gonna really wind up getting in and what's gonna get cut.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, key pieces of the backstories will wind up getting cut out. But they did a really good job with it.
So I found online how the miniseries played out. It was broken down into two parts, and the end of part one is when Stan's wife finds
Hmm.
him in the tub with the slit on his wrist, and it pans up to it on the wall in blood,
Hmm.
and it cuts with her screaming, and then you hear Pennywise laughing, and then it would say to be continued, and then the beginning of part
I
two.
remember seeing versions that still had that in it.
Yes, certain home media releases did still do the two parts, and then, but now with DVD, Blu-ray, streaming, it's been blended together into
Yeah.
one actual movie. And when we agreed to do this, I didn't put two and two together and remember that it was 3 fucking hours long, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, what do you think next week's gonna be?
I was expecting it next week. But and then, anyways, back to my thought. The beginning of part two is starts with Bill arriving in the cemetery and cuts out his whole hotel arrival and shit like that. So that's kind of you had to wait 2 days when it aired on ABC originally back in the 90s in 1990, and you had to wait 2 days.
To be fair, I probably watched this when it first came on.
I know I didn't. It wasn't until later on in life that I saw this. Probably like 2002, 2003. But you know, so we're seeing them as the kids and we're seeing them as the adults. Some are successful.
Yeah,
Beverly,
for the most part, most of them are successful.
yeah,
Um, Beverly's a successful designer. She just has a terrible taste in men.
yes. Which kind of like it's funny how they show that scene with her and her boyfriend or whatever he is, and he hits her, and then you find out that she was abused as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
her father was very. Um, so character development throughout the movie.
I
As
think
you,
it was great. I mean,
yeah,
it kind of showed you, why Bill was the way he was, so, headlong into his writing and all that.
yeah,
Um, and then to see have his brother die like that, that's
and then
huge at a time like that in your life. So,
and to be scolded for
yeah.
going into your brother's room after he
Hmm.
dies, like,
Yeah.
and looking at pictures of him, like,
And I mean, if something like that happens and then crazy stuff also starts happening, that's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, it is. But I forgot
And
where.
I mean, they did great with him too, because like when Mike first calls him, before that he's up there, he's writing his story and he's going, and him and Audra are basically arguing back and forth about his writing and all that stuff,
Hmm.
um and then he gets that call from Mike, and the stutter comes back instantly.
Yeah,
Just hearing the name, and like you can see just you how his psyche just cracks immediately, and he goes from being this strongly opinionated writer to the boy again with the stutter.
yeah,
um so he tries to get it back on his way out, but it clearly didn't work because she followed.
yeah, and that's one thing I like about the story is they defeated him 30 years ago, and they said if he ever comes back, we all need to come back. And
Most of them do.
yeah, all but one. But so, and it shows like the type of people they've become, and they've put the past behind them until just the mere
Well,
mention of his
because
name.
they forgot. They
Yeah,
grew up. They lost that childhood memory, which, I get that.
I know that. I mean, that plenty of times, like I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was talking about, oh, I used to hang out at the Dedham Mall. I was like, oh yeah, and she was like, but I can't remember the name of the toy store. And I was like, oh, there was Child's World and then Toys R Us down the road. And I kept
KB.
forgetting I forgot about KB. And then I was like, so then I started thinking about the mall, and I was like, oh, okay. Like she said, her
It's been
mom.
years since Toys R Us has been in the mall. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you figure it's been 23 years since the mall like flipped out and reverted to an outdoor shopping center. But it was like, okay. So then I started thinking because she kept saying it in the mall, and I was like, there wasn't a toy store in the. And I was like, okay, Funko, KB Toys. And I said that, and she was like, "Okay, yep, that's the one." I couldn't remember the name of it, but that was the one. And I started thinking, okay, oh, fucking Walgreens, the record store, Record Town.
Woolworths, not Walgreens,
Yeah,
Woolworths.
Woolworths. Yeah, I'm sorry, Woolworths. And they had the little diner next door, and
They had some great
Brigham's.
ice cream.
Yeah, and so it's just like
Bring 'em home, some
some Brigham.
Brighams.
I know
Bring 'em, bring 'em.
your brother loved Brigham's when I worked there.
That was
But
good. They had good ice cream.
yeah, and it's just like it's amazing how like one word can spark all these memories. Like we used to hang out at the Dedham Mall all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just funny how you don't think about it for years, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, oh yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you exactly where the pet store was. You would walk in on the Bradley's entrance; it would be right there on the
Yeah.
right, and next to I think there was a Radio Shack there,
Oh
and
yeah.
Sabaros, and Bradley's across the way, the fucking cookie place, the like tobacco store, and you go down that corridor, and that's where Funko Land
Funko Land.
was. KB Toys, Sears, then you go down the other end of the center court, you had like a shoe store, an Irish cottage, like it's just crazy.
Irish Julius.
It was, yeah, and so I get where these kids are coming from with the having this spark to memory, and
Mm-hmm.
so Okay, enough about our childhood. So let's talk about the scene where Beverly's in the bathroom and there's blood fucking everywhere.
The balloon that burst in the
Yeah,
drain.
Pennywise mate. So the father can't see the blood everywhere,
Yeah.
but only she can see the blood. And we later find out that the other six can see the blood. I mean, he's got
Well,
it on his hands.
and you had George in Georgie's room before when the book started to bleed, and then his mom picked it
Yes.
up, and so I got the point that the adults couldn't see it, only the kids could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that when she brought them all back. She explained later on in the movie how she brought them all
Yes.
back to see if she was crazy or if they could see it because her father clearly couldn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Um, and it's the same thing as when they're adults when Harry Anderson's character shows up in the library.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that scene. Those supporting actors in that scene,
Mm-hmm.
to have a balloon full of blood burst in your face and to no sell it like that,
Yeah.
you could see a few flinching,
Yeah.
but
They did great. Yes, they did.
there had to be a little bit of force for it to pop and
Oh
shoot
yeah.
blood all over you.
I mean, it's like nowadays that shit would probably be fucking CGI.
Yeah.
At least the explosion part, and then someone would spray paint their face with something, and then
Yeah.
action. But
So,
I mean, all of these, a lot of these effects were, and they had to be practical because there was no CGI back then, really.
yeah, you figure this was probably filmed in 89, 88,
Yeah,
89.
like when he comes up out of the shower, great. They
Yeah.
used the stop motion to kind of show it opening up there. That was pretty cool. I will say I do want that shower. I want all the heads all over, just blasting full power.
Yeah.
Give me that. I would not be backing away into the corner. I'd be like, "Come on, get over here!"
Yeah. Oh, I get my tushy at the same time. But
Bidet?
yeah. Where'd that one come from? Yeah. It's definitely practical effects. That was my next thing, effects. So
The big spider creature at the end that was,
yeah.
that's where they got into the whole green screen type deal going on, and it got a little. That's where it got wonky with the effects. I think up until the spider,
Yes.
I think everything was, really good. It was, yeah, nowadays you could tell it was fake, but given the time and how it all was all put together, I think they did great with everything else. It's just that it's hard to make that damn crab spider thing
Yeah.
look real in the 90s.
Like, so that was my problem with the ending of the movie. I'll just come out and say it. It built up for so long for that.
I mean,
Um,
it's not all nukes and guns, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just got to be a spider that you rip the heart out with your bare hands.
Oh, 6 of them or 5 of them do. So production, design, costumes, definitely 1960s feel.
Shit, by that time it was only 3 of them. Because Eddie was still bleeding out in there because he had gotten picked up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
It was 4 of them.
Yeah.
Because
3.
Bill, Richie, Ben, and Bev. And then
Yeah.
Eddie was on the ground. And then Mike was in the hospital and Stan was dead.
Yeah. So production, design, costumes, definitely 1960s feels for the kids because that's when it takes place.
Yeah.
The movie theater.
Slick back greaser hair.
That one kid that looks like he belonged in the fucking Misfits with the piece that fucking came down.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there really is a Paramount was a Paramount Theater in Derry, New Hampshire. I'll have to Google that for next week.
Who knows?
But the script and the dialogue, obviously based off of Stephen King's writing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did great. Because I mean, like I said, it's hard to turn a book into a movie and make it what it was in the book.
Yes.
And I think they did an excellent job with this. They didn't cut out too much. They left it pretty well where it was and
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, they definitely did. And each kid has its own individual, like, sense of style, sense of
Mm-hmm.
attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and dialogue. You know, um, the directing. Tommy Lee Wallace, I think he did an amazing job. I'm sure it's not an easy task taking a Stephen King
Nah.
novel and turning it into a movie.
But I mean, no, he did great. It wasn't, again, it was 1990s filmmaking. I liked, they had a lot of good scenes, like when Eddie's packing his bags to go to Derry and his mother's chasing him throughout the house. And, it's just them two with the camera just following him around
Yeah.
backwards. And they did great. I thought that, used a lot of shots that, made sense with the way the scene was going.
Yeah, and a lot of the shots of like Pennywise when you first see him.
Yeah,
And
that kind of cuts in and out. You don't
yeah,
see him fully at first.
and the scene when they're looking through the old pictures, or they're looking through the picture book that
Oh, yeah. And the picture starts moving, and oh, yeah.
you see Pennywise the dancing
Mm-hmm.
clown, and then you realize that it's Pennywise fucking with them.
Yep. It was great. And then the hand reaches up out.
So a lot of good shots, especially the shower scene.
Mhm.
You know, every kid's afraid to take a shower at school because who knows when the hell the last time that was cleaned.
Yeah,
But
that's the reason they're scared of it.
yeah, and it's embarrassing, but
Speak for yourself.
yeah, okay, you fucking ginger bastard. I mean, how like that's I have the movie playing in the background, and that scene's on right now, and the showers are just magically turning on by themselves, and he's like, "Okay, yep, I'm done, yep."
Well, and he's not exactly the bravest boy anyway, so.
Yeah, but when it starts shooting out, like the nozzle comes out, yeah, that's there's some guy behind that wall just pushing them.
Mhm.
They reach out pretty far too, and then they're moving, and there's
I was just
Pennywise
sitting
in the
there
drain.
thinking. I was just sitting there thinking, I could get so clean with those. It takes me
Yeah,
like 2 seconds to shower. It's
get
like
in, lather up.
you walk through, you lather, you walk back, you're done.
Yeah, it's like a car wash.
Yeah.
And I love how Pennywise pokes fun at the size of the hole. Like, oh, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Tim Curry, amazing. Um, okay, so let's talk about the length. Um, Now, I know with the remakes, it was broken into two movies. I believe the first one is the kids, and the second one is the adults version.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think to tell this story properly, which it did, I think the 3 hour time frame.
Yeah, I mean, it basically does break down to being, half of it about the first time and
Yeah,
the half of it about the second time. So, but yeah, no, I mean, again, this is beating a dead horse, but it's hard to make a book into a movie
yeah,
and not lose a lot. And in order to do that, it's got to be long. So, I mean, nowadays it's not as unorthodox as it was back then, which is why they made it a mini series instead of a movie. I think had it, if there had been more like, the Lord of the Rings back then, this probably would have been a movie, and it probably would have been in theaters. But
Yeah.
3 hours, a long time anyway. But back then, it was just too long to be in a movie theater, I bet. So, but
And you don't really hear about too many horror books being turned into miniseries back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you think they went? So you would say they went the right route going with miniseries over a movie for this?
I mean, yeah, because you needed to tell the full story. You can't sum that up in
Yeah, there's
90
no
minutes to
way.
2 hours. There's no way.
If it
It
was
would,
made,
their entire childhood thing would just be in flashbacks, and they'd be, 30 seconds per kid.
yeah,
No.
and plus with this, you're able to get the feel of how they were as kids
Yeah,
and how they are as adults now.
you get to see how each personality kind of worked itself out, and then immediately came rushing back when they found out about those memories and all that stuff. So, and you got to see them kind of defeated all over again, and you needed that backstory. You needed all of it.
Yeah,
You can't cut this down to a 2-hour movie. You just can't.
it was like if it was made today, it would need to be in 2 parts or something.
Imagine that.
Imagine
See,
that.
now I have had the ultimate idea.
Okay, lay it on
We
me.
have to get a group of like 9 or 10, you know, 12 or 13-year-olds now, and make the first part of the movie. And then in 27 years, we'll make the end of the movie, and we'll re-release it, and we'll be right in the timeline. It'll be perfect.
Do we release the first half at all first?
No, nope, you
Okay.
wait.
So
So
it's kind of
that way people can see the genius in the idea, because it's going to be the same actors as
yes.
kids as adults.
I like it. I like it. What was that? What was that movie? There was a movie that did that.
No, I don't remember.
I think it was called like a Boy or something, Boyhood, and it was literally like filmed over.
A kid's life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the same kid, and he's just fucking,
I'm sure he was uninteresting, though. He wasn't getting chased by a clown named Pennywise. That's the only problem with my plan. Is I have to find someone who's going to look the same in 27 years as an adult.
No,
They can't be a kid.
if you apply the right makeup and a mask,
Well,
they just have to make sure that it's the same fucking
he's got a very
enthusiasm, and then
generic-y voice.
yeah,
It can't be too distinct.
Oh, you know what you do? You cast a husky kid that looks kind of big for his age.
Yeah.
Well, and let's see, maybe like 5 or 6 years, we'll get Brantley and Hunter and James and
Get all our kids.
Sam. Yeah, get all our kids. We're making Pennywise.
Yeah.
But we'll change all the names so we don't get sued by Stephen King.
We'll use AJ.
Yeah,
AJ can be Pennywise.
Yeah, he's tall and lanky and creepy
He's
looking.
older than the rest of them.
Yeah. We know anybody else with kids? Okay, cast and call.
I don't know. If one of us goes to school for filmmaking, maybe we can buy it from Stephen King for $5. He's got a lot of cheap movies he's willing to give up to film students. So we just got to be film students.
Jeez, if we knew somebody that went to film school.
I know. If only.
What's his face? He used
Someone
to do
who
a
has
podcast.
a connection. They might even have a job film related.
Yeah.
We'll think of it next week.
Yeah, I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't figure out what his name is.
That's right. You can get back to me when you think of it.
Yeah. Damn. We used to see him all the time, but now we never see him. I can't remember his name. All
Maybe
right.
He'll be back in 27 years.
Yeah. If we're still doing this in 27 years, we better be sitting on millions of dollars doing it.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
We'll probably just be doing it, but it'll just be ourselves doing it to ourselves. The screen will be off.
Yeah. Fucking.
What do you mean you didn't like the Hitman's wife's bodyguard, you asshole?
The Hitman's wife's son's daughter's bodyguard killer fucking
Babysitter.
part fucking 10. Yeah, with my luck, I'd forget to hit record every week. Oh, that was a good episode. That was real good. An hour and a half. Oh shit. I forgot to do it again. I almost forgot to edit last week's episode.
Just put it out there for the world to see.
Yeah. All right, let's talk. Who's your favorite character? As a kid. As the kid.
Well, I think it'd have to be Richie just because of his mouth. He antagonizes everybody with his mouth. Kind of like some other young little whippersnapper 12-year-old that I used to know that certainly wasn't me. No, it wasn't me.
The only difference that's
I didn't wear glasses.
Yeah. Well, fuck you, all right? Yeah, I'd say Richie and the bigger kid. I can't remember his name. Ben? No.
Yeah,
Ben.
Ben.
Yeah. See, I'm getting it. Okay, who's your favorite character as the adult? Does it change? Does it stay the same?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to like Richie because he's a comedian and he's Judge Harry.
I know.
But no, I think as an adult, it's probably Ben.
John Ritter's a badass.
Yeah, I think it's Ben.
Yeah, he like as he was as a kid. It's kind of like you feel for him because he's the new guy in town and
Yeah, I mean he's just
losing his
kind of
dad.
he's quiet, kind of hangs back, and then as the shit gets down, he picks up, he comes in, and shows where his loyalties lie.
Yeah. All right. Favorite scene in the movie?
That's kind of tough. There's so many good ones.
Pick 3. 3-hour movie. Pick 3.
I mean, the first one has to be just Pennywise getting Georgie. Just that whole interaction.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I want to say stuff, but we'll get into that next week. So there's that. I do like the library scene with the balloons popping in everybody's face. That is great. Then I don't know. I do like the shower scene there. Just the whole them coming out and then him popping up out of the ground and ripping the hole open, and those are all pretty good scenes.
I definitely like the balloon scene in the library. And the shower scene. But I also like the scene when they're in the library as adults at the end of the night. Oh, they're eating the Chinese food and the fortune cookies.
Yep. Stan's head is in the refrigerator.
Yeah. All right, guys, we all made it. I'm a little late. But it's like, okay, well, okay. But yeah, the fortune cookie scene was a little crazy. I don't know if I'll be able to eat fortune cookies again without worrying about a fucking bug or chicken.
Crab or whatever it was, yeah.
The horror. Is there enough horror in this movie?
Honestly, watching it now is a little bit scarier because
Something from our childhood gonna come back and haunt us?
all three of my kids are Georgie.
Yes. Yes.
That's the thing that gets me. All three of my kids are Georgie.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "No, I want that back." They're reaching down there to get that shit.
Oh, Hunter too. Trust me.
Although they're not trying to make friends about it. They're just like, "Give me my shit back."
Yeah. Hunter's offering up shit to fucking get his little fucking paper boat back that he can
Take
remake.
that back, please. That's mine. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's more of a psychological horror than like physical jump out scare you.
Well, yeah, for sure. It's definitely scarier in the book. It's all in your head, but
Yeah. The gore, there's really not much
no, there's not.
gore.
Because again, it was made for TV, so all the
Yeah.
blood had to be not from a body.
Yeah.
You know, so the blood and gore had to come. Is kind of
Yeah.
like a byproduct of. I don't know. Couldn't come from a body though,
Yeah. Um,
which is
favorite.
good because I mean that kind of helps it. You know, you
Yeah.
can't just call it a "Oh, it's one of those murder horror snuff film things, like
Yeah.
Hostel or something. No, it's not. This is,
Now, do you think if this was made as a movie in the '90s, it would be more bloodier and
probably
it'd probably be rated R and up there with the
more than
Jasons?
likely, and it would have been a lot shorter,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been as good.
So, favorite kill? There's really not many kills.
No, not really.
I mean, just the only real kill you see is Georgie.
No, then this Bowers, which is,
Yeah.
that's more of a thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it, because he was just a douche.
Um. All right. Do we recommend this movie?
1000%.
Yes.
This is a must-watch for all who like horror movies. If you like Tim Curry,
Okay.
if you just like
John Ritter,
John
Seth
Ritter, yep,
Green, Harry
Annette
Anderson.
O'Toole,
Yeah.
it's just a good movie. And it's it's a horror movie without all that blood, guts, and gore, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a quality horror movie.
Yeah.
And if you're scared of clowns, it's even scarier for you.
Remember that time at Fright Kingdom with that girl that was afraid of
Oh
clowns?
man, I love that.
That was the
I wish
best
I
night
could
ever.
find somebody I could drag to one of those like that again.
Yeah. Those were the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I also recommend It. Now, it's Stephen King's The It, or Stephen King's It,
Mm-hmm.
but then the remake is just It, and then It Chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got to differentiate.
Yeah. Sequel potential, has a sequel. Do you think they could have made a sequel off of the original?
I mean, I suppose if it didn't die, or there was another one or something, it's always possible. It would have had to have been 27 years later. Oh, wait, they did. That was it.
Reboot potential.
Clear.
We'll talk about that next week.
Hmm.
All right. What is your rating of
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Like we're not going to say it in fucking 2 minutes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, how many mugs do you give Stephen King's The It? Stephen King's
5.
It.
This gets a
5.
5.
I gave it a 4. That last scene, the fight, I looked and I was like, geez, they haven't even fought Pennywise yet. Like, how much longer is left? There was only 13 minutes left. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the spider's a bit of a letdown, but I don't care. The rest of it holds up for me.
I give it a 4 as well.
Generic four.
IMDb gives it 6.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 68% out of 100. And Letterboxd a 3.2 out of 5. All right, Justin. What do we have coming next week?
Next week, we're covering Elf. No, I'm just kidding. Next week we're going back to Derry for some more fun with Pennywise, covering It Chapter 1 from 2017 and Chapter 2 from 2019.
All right. Well, the bar is now closed. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us and stay up to date with the podcast at the Movie Bar Pod on Twitter. I'm sorry, X. I need to change that.
No, you need to leave it the way it is, because if you switch it to X, I'm changing it back to Twitter.
At the Movie Bar Pod on Twitter/X. At the Movie Bar Podcast on Instagram. At the Movie Bar Pod on YouTube and TikTok. And at the Movie Bar Podcast on Facebook.
We are on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, Anchor, Google Podcast, and most places you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to check out our website, www.moviebarpod.com.
You did my high-pitched taco. Anyways, thanks for listening. Please let us know what you want to hear by contacting us on social media or via email at themoviebar@outlook.com. Please be sure to like and review and subscribe to the podcast. Bye.
.com, www.moviebarpod it is.
We all float down here. Hey, I remember the name of that guy.
We all float, Georgie.
Yeah, we all float down here. Hey, I remember the name of that guy that went to movie school. It was